All right. Shalom, shalom, family. Um, Today we're in for an interesting one where we'll be talking about what did God actually look like? Okay, the true image of God. Now, if you're new to my channel, welcome. Okay, this is a space where we'll be talking about all things ancestral, all things cultural, because there is no better virtue in life than knowing yourself and knowing God. Okay, everything else is temporary and passing, but your relationship and understanding of self and God will move with you throughout all of your lifetimes. Okay, and you will always have this inner knowing of security, safety. You'll easily be able to bring out and manifest your blessings because you know who you are, you know how powerful you are. Okay, and it's also just something about not subscribing to the lies which we've all been told for a long time. Okay, I think we all deserve to know a fair level of truth, okay? And we all know that history is only his story. So we have to dive deep into what was taught to us in school and see if it stands to the test of time, all right? So today we'll be getting into a bit of things. I'm loving this presentation style so far because it easily helps me to relay the information to you all and show you guys graphic pictures along the way so you can understand instead of just seeing me talk like this, okay? Plus, my mind moves so fast, sometimes I might forget something and it's just not the best, okay? So, this actually, this change and this revelation actually came to me on a mushroom trip, okay? And like I thought I needed to talk to a therapist or a psychiatrist because I was like, man, when people hear what I have to tell them, some of them might think I'm the devil or they might think I'm crazy, okay? But that was because you guys were programmed to think that way, okay? Now some of you know what I'm already about to share today, all right? So kudos to you. Just stick with it anyway because you might learn something in this video that you never knew before, okay? So don't be so fast to leave. Before I get into this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Oh, and one more thing, head over to my my apothecary, sunchildapothecary.com. Okay, I will leave the link to my shop in the description after this video. Okay, I have many spiritual services that can benefit you guys on there, from tarot readings, astrology, to dream exploration. Okay, and also I provide a dream service where I can channel information and guidance for you, and also dispel negative energy. Like if you had a bad dream or something and you don't want it to manifest, you have a feeling that it was like a strong message trying to tell you to do something about it, I'm the person you can come to. My ancestors have trained me in learning to dispel bad dreams. Okay, so I have all of those services up there. And also I got some goodies coming in the mail, bracelets and different kind of um, crystal shapes and forms that you can put on your desks and stuff, okay? Like the goddess crystal form and all that kind of good stuff, okay? So, all right, let's get into this. We're going to start with the first slide. The influence of Catholic art, okay? So, the artistic consensus of God, which most people are familiar with, traces its roots back to early European painters, mainly Italian, roughly from the 12th through the 18th century, okay? This aesthetic was based off of sensationalism in order to maintain religious regimes rather than scriptural accuracy. And may I add that Catholicism was actually brought to Rome, okay, by the apostles, I believe. Okay, the Catholicism didn't even really start in Rome. Okay, the Romans were not just Christians. Okay, but they seen Catholicism as an opportunity to unite their peoples under one belief, because before the Romans had gods like the Greeks, they had many gods. Okay, so they were opportunists, right? And that's why the Pope, they have capitalized off of many people. Okay, the crimes of the popes in Rome and Europe is innumerable. Okay, because again, they were opportunists, they were military strategists, okay, and they were not really what we would consider godly people, a lot of them, okay. And so they found little ways like art and uh, um, also what they told people was right, right? They mess with people's morals. They would tell you don't question the Pope and things like that, to all kind of get people to put them on a high pedestal. Okay, so I just wanted to add that in, right? Even the image of Jesus was converted to match the likeness of an Italian military general, Cesare Borgia. Right, and he was alive in the 1400s. Okay, so I'm gonna show you guys some of these famous paintings that you will see were done by Spanish painters, early Spanish painters, early Italian painters. Okay, early Austrian painters, and yeah. So most people are used to the images of angels that look like this. Okay, you know, they got white wings, and they're white folks. You'll probably never see a black person in these paintings, because they it was also racist in the sense, like they considered that black was the devil, right? You'll see the devil often painted as black, okay, and God and angels are painted as white, which is why, to be honest, if you're a black person, if you're an African person or a melanated person, you really should not even be subscribing to Christianity, okay, because it was against you and your people. And some of you may feel like it's the past, sure, whatever, but you have to understand the psychological damage that that had on your ancestors, on your parents, their parents, and how they view God. They viewed God as the white man and viewed themselves as lesser, okay, because they were taught to view themselves as so. So, honestly, you know, everybody's free to do what they want, but that's just my honest feeling. And so you'll see, like we see a black angel here, but I can almost promise you that this is something that's a newer painting. Okay, it doesn't go back to the early Roman paintings. Okay, so that's the general image of angels and pretty much God that people are used to. Okay, and now again, as I said in the first presentation, even Jesus was painted to the likeness of this man right here. Okay, you can see his features. His name is Cesare Borgia. Cesare, I really don't know. It's an Italian name. It's hard to pronounce properly. But if you look at the features of his face, many of you guys have seen Jesus images that look exactly like him. Okay, he wanted the role which his father, the Pope, at the time was giving to his older brother, and so he kind of manipulated his way of getting the people to hold him more in high esteem. And his way of doing that was, you know, converting the paintings of Jesus to look more like him, so people would hold him up to high esteem. You see how manipulative that is? So that is what most Christians are subscribing to and not even knowing it. Okay, they're subscribing to a fallacy, to illusions, and this is why I get into videos like this, because it is pure wrong. Can you believe that this was hundreds of years ago, in the 1400s, that this was this kind of scheme was acted out, and people still believe it to be true today? I don't know, man. It's unfortunate, but you know, anything that sounds good to people, it sounds like a fairy tale. People love to kind of just run with it. It's the way we've been conditioned. So I can't even blame people. In the right time, they will find videos like this, and they will make their way to truth when they're ready for it. So the next slide, what do angels actually look like? Okay, so now we're going to get more into what did angels, which are literally just they're basically the same race as the Almighty God in the Bible, right? The Elohim and angels are the same thing, and I'm going to show you guys that in a minute, okay? But what did they actually look like? We're going to get into that. In the beginning of Genesis, where we are first introduced to Yahweh and his angels, so I put angels like this. This entire flood epic is a spin-off of Sumerian literature. The Sumerians precede the Hebrews by thousands of years. In fact, Abraham was born in the land of Sumer. If one compares the fallen angels in the book of Enoch to the Sumerian Apkallu sages, one will find that the details match up almost perfectly. Okay, so basically, if you compare Sumerian literature, right, to early literature in Genesis, right, in the beginning of Genesis, you'll notice that the details, they match up perfectly. Okay, only difference is the difference of names. In the Sumerian literature, you'll find a few more added character, right? That's why Elohim is plural, okay? Elohim is plural because it was not this one Yahweh that created man and whatnot, but it was actually, again, a group of these people, okay? And they did not look like us, okay? They were similar to us, but they did not look like us. The Apkallu were 7 wise half-fish, half-man beings who taught advanced knowledge of the gods to man, okay? The sacred knowledge of the Apkallu roots back to the Dogon people of West Africa. Now, may I add that pretty much early civilization, which scholars believe begun in the East, right? In modern-day Iraq, which was called Sumer, and Babylon, and you know, in Israel, right, with the Hebrews and everything, they categorized that as Shemitic or Semitic, okay, West Asia. But in fact, it was actually East Africans many thousands of years ago, right? If you search up the Natufian culture, you will find that East Africans, which West Africans, many West African tribes, right, Bantu tribes actually are related to East Africans. It shows in their genetics, their Y-DNA, right? E1B1A, you have E1B1A in West Africa and E1B1B in East Africa, and they both share a common ancestor, right? Which is Y-DNA EP2, okay, or the Natufian culture, which was found in Israel some like 15,000 years ago. I'm not kidding, you can search this up, okay? So and their beliefs are very, very old. Scholars don't even know how old a lot of their beliefs are, okay? And they will tell you themselves that their ancestors have been practicing their beliefs for a very, very, very long time, okay? And if you look into a lot of the mythology of West and East Africans, you will find that it is the almost exact same stories which we find in Israel and in Mesopotamia, okay? They brought that culture over there, okay? And they've been back and forth ever since. Also, they mixed with some of the I forgot what they call them, but they basically mixed with Caucasians, okay? Caucasian tribes and peoples that were, you know, passing through the East or whatever, okay? They mixed, and then, you know, they formed their different cultures like the Sumerians. That's why you'll see they have curly hair, okay? They don't just have the Sumerians, their gods didn't look like they just had straight hair, okay? But they look like they had wavy curly hair. The Assyrians, they look like they have wavy curly hair, okay? Because they're mixed with Caucasian people. This was even said in the book of Jubilees, okay? So, yeah, I just had to point that out, okay? Because most people they try to leave out the African influence of the East, but they don't understand that our mythology, the mythology in the East actually roots from our mythology. All right. So now that I clarified that, we can move on. The Dogon were a people of Egypt and contained knowledge which was administered only in the sacred schools of the people of Kemet. Okay, most of the knowledge that comes that we know of the Dogon actually comes from an archaeologist. I think he's an archaeologist, Marcel Griot. Okay, he had to spend many years, like over a little bit over a decade, with the Dogon people. Okay, so that they could finally accept him, and he could document, right, with this man called Octomeli. You can actually get Marcel Griot's book. It was made by his the people that he worked with after he died. Okay, he left his journals and everything, and they made a book out of it. They called it Conversations with Octomeli. Okay, which was a Dogon elder who basically shared a lot of the secrets of the Dogon people with Marcel Griot about Sirius, which they call Sigi. They're Nummo ancestors, half serpent, half human beings, okay? And they're a very secretive tribe, all right? And their mythology also lines up well with Egyptian mythology, okay? Their god name is Amma, and the Egyptian god, creator god, is Amon or Amun, sometimes Amun Ra, okay? And their ancestors, when we talk about Zep Tepi, okay, the beginning of like the first Egyptian ancestors, if you count how many there were actually 8, and the Dogon talk about 8. They said that their people descend from like 8 ancestors, so they had 8 main ancestors in their mythology. Okay, it's actually common mythology that you will see around. Okay, and you'll see their culture in America. Okay, which I told you guys I was getting more into. But we are African, West Africans, right? Many West Africans, East Africans, right? You know, the Egyptian people, right? We are actually American Aboriginals, okay? We're not Native Americans like some people like to say, like we are Native American. Some of our people mixed in with Native American tribes, but the Native American people are people that come from Mongolia, Siberia. They crossed the Bering Strait, okay? And they made it to North and South America, and we mixed in with some of their tribes. We brought our culture, and since this was a really long time ago, so things have watered down a lot since then, you know, and later on, our ancestors actually, like Abu Bakari, right? From the Mali Empire, he brought a fleet of over 200 ships to the America across the Atlantic. Okay, Mansa Musa told this, and that's actually how Mansa Musa was put into the position he was. It was because his predecessor went to America. Okay, and so we've been to America many times, even after the people of Egypt and everything. Matter of fact, Egypt may have actually started in America, okay, or in Asia, which I spoke about in my last video, okay. If you want to learn more about that, watch my last presentation, the Asiatic black man, okay. So I'm not going to dwell on that any longer. I just put the gems out there for you guys, and you guys can go look into that yourselves or watch some of my previous videos, you know, and you'll find my TikTok from there or whatnot. You can tune in. Okay, I'm actually writing a book on it right now. Okay, called From the Blue Nile, the Blue Nile to the Colorado River. Okay, so yeah, let's keep moving on. Where I left off. Okay, the Dogon people believed that the Apkallu sages were not actually fish. Were not actually fish-like, but serpent-like. In their oral tradition, the Apkallu or Nummo are 8 half serpent, half man creatures. Okay, so it's time to get a little bit of the of a description of the Nummo, and again a refresher. The reason why we're talking about Sumerian Apkallu sages and Dogon, Nummo sages is because the mythology aligns really well with, if you read the book of Enoch, the fallen angels, okay? Because they said the fallen angels out of the sky came down to the earth, right? And they started interceding with man, and they giants was created as a result, and also they passed on a sacred knowledge of the heavens, okay? And when you count how many of them taught us this knowledge, when they say like Azazel taught men how to make swords, knives, and all these things, you can count how many of them that taught us the arts which they did, from astronomy to botany. You will find that it's like 9 of them, okay? And the Apakalu sages in the Sumerian mythology, it's 7. In the Dogon, it's 8. Okay, so it changes a little bit because, again, when culture moves, people add. They want to add themselves into the mixture, so you get an extra ancestor and all this kind of crazy stuff. Okay, but you will find it's actually very close. Now, I'm going to read to you from the Conversations, with ultimately an introduction to the Dogon religious belief by Marcel Grial, okay? So we're taking exactly from his journals what he recorded from the Dogon elder, okay? He said, when God created the Nummo, okay, there were two beings, okay? And they were green in color, half human beings and half serpents. Okay, from the head to the loins, they were human. So from their torso, they were human. And below, they were serpents. Okay, and they were twins. Now, let me blow y'all minds really fast. Okay, I'm going to show you guys that this advanced culture that recorded this mythology, it can be found all over the world. Okay, if you look at Nagas in Hinduism, right, you will find that there's actually depiction of these Nagas. You will see they look like twins, but this is actually a king Naga and a queen Naga, okay, or Nagini, right? And you will see how their tails, or their serpent tails, are intertwined. Why is my internet moving so slow right now? Boom, right? You'll see it like that. And if we go to China, right, Nua and Fusi, I think that's how you pronounce the name, you will find the same thing, right? You will find that their tails were intertwined, okay? And the description is the same. These serpent beings taught man, taught the Chinese say that they taught their ancestors the Chinese alphabet. It taught them the arts of civilization, and they created man. So we find the same stories all over and over again. Even, again, we find it in Native America. The Mississippian hero twins. If you look at them, we find no different. We find this in Mesoamerica and I believe South America again. It's all over the world, guys. Okay, so you see how their tails are intertwined, the Mississippian hero twins. Okay, and then you will find the Olmecs, they had their hero twins as well. It all comes from the same mythology. Okay, just when you go to different places and things evolve isolated from each other for a long time, different elements are added in when different tribes mix in with each other. We must understand that. This is why archaeology, oh, there's no connection. It's not true. Okay, if we find similar detail all over the world again and again, that means they have a common origin. It does not mean that they did not have contact with each other, because how would cultures build a lot of the same structures like pyramids and everything? You know, they talk about a lot of the same gods and mythology and ancestors and, you know, before the flood, the great flood, all of these stories, and not have a common origin. This is what I mean by we have to take our ancestry into our own hands. We cannot let, especially if you are a black man, don't let any other culture or race tell you who you are. okay, because you are a very ancient person, okay. And this goes also a message for any other race. If you're a Chinese man, if you're a European man, it doesn't matter what kind of person you are, it still applies to you as well. Don't let any other culture or race tell you who you are. Take your ancestry into your own hands, okay, because scholars are not the only people that are capable of learning about a human history, period. So let's move forward. All right. But basically, you will find these serpent-like twins, like I just showed you guys, with the tails intertwined everywhere you go on all different continents. Okay, it's crazy. And the Dogon described their ancestors as these half serpent, half human beings. Okay, and they said that they were 8 of them. Okay. Right here it says the pair were born perfect and complete. They had 8 members. Okay, 8 members. Now, if we look at the Sumerian Apkallu, and again, the Sumerians precede the Hebrews. Okay, a lot of people are going to cry, oh, well, you know, Sumerians and Hebrews are different. No, a lot of the beliefs that a lot of the stories that we get in the beginning of Genesis came from these people. Search it up yourself so you will know the truth, okay? Came from these people. Even the cuneiform language and the Sumerian language, the cuneiform, not cuneiform, that's their writing, but the Sumerian language is very similar, right, to the Hebrew language. Okay, you'll find a lot of similar words and everything. And you'll find that the Hebrew language is related to a lot of East African languages, okay? And that's why they call it an Afro-Asiatic language, because the Canaanites or the Phoenician people were the ones who came up with the alphabet for the Hebrews, okay? And Canaan descends from Ham, right? Ham or Chemet, that's why we have Chemet, right, is Africa, right? That is why you will find their languages are very similar. Okay, the languages we find in East Africa and the languages we find in the East. Okay, so the Apkallu, Apkallu and Abgal are terms found in cuneiform inscription that in general mean either wise or sage. In several contexts, the Apkallu are 7, see that number, demigods, sometimes described as part man and part fish. Originally, they were always said to be part man and part fish. Okay, they changed it. You see how they changed it to part fish, but it was originally part serpent. Okay, so there you go. I'm pointing out all of the originality, okay, that these cultures and religions have changed over time, okay, coming from the African land and going to all of the different places that it went to, okay, or probably didn't even start in Africa. I'm gonna have to go back on that. It could have even possibly, it either started in Africa for me. Now I'm not saying all life didn't start in Africa, like us hominids. I believe we were bioengineered in Africa, but I believe that civilization may have started in Asia. Okay, it's just my belief. I have my reasonings for believing that. Okay, but to be honest, I believe that our people actually were global, indigenous. Okay, Africans and things have changed over time and whatnot. Okay, but I believe that Africans are indigenous to every continent. It is just my belief. I see our culture on every continent, and I have good reason to believe that. Let's go back to the presentation. Let's move forward before I give you guys all the gems before I actually was supposed to. I'm fired up today. God depicted as the devil. Okay, so that's where it gets tricky now. In Genesis, the devil, adversary of God, is portrayed as a cunning serpent. The serpent bestows knowledge to Adam and Eve, making them like God. Okay, so here's the thing, right? We find that the Dogon, right, who were Egyptians, and the Sumerians, right? Sumerians actually had one of the earliest civilizations, right? We find these serpent creator beings all over the world, these hero beings that taught man the arts of civilization and everything, right? And they're depicted as serpents. But in the Bible, it tells us that the serpent is actually the adversary of God. So you see how contradicting it can get. However, the serpent actually follows the same guidelines that we find in the earlier cultures where it all started, right? Because the serpent in the Bible actually bestowed onto Adam and Eve knowledge, okay, from the tree of knowledge, which the Almighty God did not want them to eat from. So why don't a lot of people question themselves, like, if the serpent was trying to bless us with knowledge, is the serpent really evil? Okay. Hey, I don't know. People just take and run with anything. We don't question. We're taught that questioning is bad and it could lead you down the wrong path. It's just not true. Okay. So we're spiritual beings seeking for truth. Okay. So it is totally okay that we question things. You can even question this right here. Okay. It's okay. In Greek mythology, Asclepius was taught the art of healing, resurrecting, and making men immortal thanks to a serpent. That's why you will see his staff. Let me show you guys this Asclepius staff really fast. Asclepius staff. Right? So this right here on the right is Asclepius staff. This staff right here on the left is the staff of Hermes Trismegistus, but this actually is a spin-off of the staff that Thoth holds. He holds two staff with serpents intertwined on them, okay? And you know how people connect Hermes Trismegistus and Thoth, and you guys, a lot of you guys, I'm sure, if you're watching this, already know that, but if you don't, I just told you. Okay, so where did we leave off? Yep, exactly. So that the serpent, right, actually taught Asclepius how to heal, and you guys see that staff is the symbol of the medical system in the West today. Okay. In the Hindu tradition and its later branches like Buddhism, Jainism, and all like religions in that area of the likes, right? Serpents or nagas guard riches and sacred teachings in the underworld, as well as near nature-based sites like water, okay? Primarily water, matter of fact, okay? Because the nagas or serpent beings, that's why they consider them half fishermen, because they came from the water, okay? But fresh water in particular, in the Sumerian literature, these beings actually come from what they call the Abzu, okay? Or like fresh water, okay? And in many other cultures as well, they come from like I don't want to say springs, but like caves, okay? Like the water under in like the cave systems, okay? Fresh water. For some reason, these beings always tend to be associated with fresh water, okay? Something to be noted. Yeah, I already spoke to you guys about Nu and Fuxi and how they taught the Chinese everything they knew according to their mythology. Okay, in Olmec, Mayan, Aztec, and Inca traditions, right? This great serpent or the serpent figure goes by many names. Okay, Kukulkan, Quetzalcoatl, Viracocha. Okay, they all pretty much have a similar story, and Kukulkan is depicted as a great serpent. Okay, the Aztec people also have, again, a mythology in their origin, and like their origin story, right? The Aztec 7 ancestors. You will find that they said that they had 7 ancestors as well, and these ancestors were, I think they survived. They went into these caves, right, and survived during the time of the flood. Now, what's interesting, if you look at their depictions, right, it'll look like they're in the stomach, the belly of the earth, right? Or at least that's what I took it as. It's interesting. And the Dogon spoke about how their 8 ancestors went through a process of going into the anthill, right, and transforming into Nummo. Okay, it said there was like almost like a fetus when they went in there. So you see how these stories they just like they mirror each other. I'm telling you, there was an advanced civilization. Okay, and I'm not gonna say it was all African people. Okay, look, history, ancestry, and what's it called? Ethnics gets really complex when we go back some thousands of years. Okay, we find very similar words and culture amongst the Japanese as we do amongst Africans. Okay, particularly West Africans. The Niger-Congo languages and the Japanese language is very similar, right? In Africa, we have words like Songhai, like the Songhai Empire. What's it called? In Somalia, the capital I believe is Mogadishu, right? And in what's it called? Nigeria, the capital is Edo, right? Tokyo used to be called Edo, okay? And their words are very, very similar, okay? And I actually had a vision in, when I was waking up from one of my dreams a couple weeks ago, probably like 2 weeks ago, and I was told that the Japanese and West Africans were actually trading as far back as 4000 BC. Okay, and I believe that. I don't believe that the historical account of history that we have is accurate. There's still a lot of things to know, and I know that Africans were pretty much, I want to say, some of the best, or if not the best, seafarers there were. Okay, the Moors, the Egyptians, the Phoenicians, they were all really great seafarers. Okay, so yeah, it's just mind-boggling how we see the same stories over and over again all over the world. Okay, I feel like our ancestors are indigenous everywhere. We mix with different people, and now culture also belongs to them. I'm not one of those people that's going to say, "Oh well, because my ancestors started this, that you're not a Native American or you're not real European. We are the real European. We are the real this, that, sixth, third." No, things mix over time. Different peoples get welcomed into our culture, and it becomes their culture as well. Okay, just like if we get mixed into someone else's culture, it will eventually become our culture too. We should not be excluded out of it. Okay, people have this very superior, inferior mindset. I had to catch myself with it. It's not good. It's very bad. Okay. Yeah. So that gives for that slide right there. Moving forward, angels and God are of the same race. So now we talk about how the Malak, right? That's what angels are called in Hebrew, and the Elohim, which God is called in Hebrew, how they are actually just a group of the same race. Okay, because here's the thing: Elohim is a plural word. I said that in the beginning. Okay, it does not mean one God, but it means many gods. Okay, and that's the word that they chose to use at the beginning of Genesis when they was addressing the Almighty. Okay, they used Elohim, which denotes plural, many creators. Okay, now some may argue that angels and God are not the same. The truth is, oh wait, let's backtrack. We're gonna come back there really fast. Before I get there though, I need to show you guys more representations of these serpent beings. Okay, but before I do that really fast, don't worry guys, don't worry, I'm not losing track. I'm not getting, we good, we rolling right now. I just wanted to show you guys how these 7 ancestors are again found everywhere, right? The Indians on the east of America, right? They have the Ojibwa Indians, right? And other groups around them that share similar mythology. They have something called the 7 grandfather teachings, right? Like the 7 wise sages that brought art and civilization to humanity. Even the Indians in Asia, they have the same mythology of 7 what they call rishi, okay, or wise men, right, who constructed a lot of the important works of the Vedas and everything, and taught us all of the important teachings. Okay, so you see that it's spread all around the world. But let me show you some more serpent artifacts. Okay, so if we look at these figurines from Iraq, right, which is basically what they call Sumer modern day. They call it Iraq now. I put Iraq figurines. We will find they had these serpent figurines. Okay, they had these, and it goes back to like 7,000, 6,000 years, right? You will see that they depicted these serpent gods. Okay, serpent beings. Isn't that crazy? This is what angels and God actually looks like. Believe it or not. Okay, I believe it, and I'll tell you guys why I believe it. Okay, now some of you guys may say, oh, that's crazy, that's crazy, how do you believe that? Well, what really is crazy, to be honest, is the fact that we think that we know everything and there is not much to learn, and that we trust everything that the science high priests and the historian high priests tell us, because we don't feel like we're capable of understanding and learning things in our own accord. Okay, but also I'm going to bring the proof that we actually descend from a reptile ancestor. They say some millions years ago. It doesn't matter. Again, evolution has took its course. Matter of fact, we may not even know the true age of the earth. You guys have to start questioning this. Okay, just like apes evolved and we're here now and we were bioengineered to be these intelligent beings, what makes you think before us they couldn't be some kind of bird, you know, that evolved and became intelligent like we are, and fucking left this, excuse my language, left this planet? Okay, or a serpent beings, or even cat-like beings. Okay, you guys have to start opening your mind. Understand that the world and the cosmos is a comic. Okay, that is the meaning of Shiva Nataraja. You'll see him in this dancing form. Okay, because the ancients knew that this reality that they call Maya, okay, illusionary, is like a comic. Okay, it is like a drama show, right? It is not as grounded and fundamental or technical like we like to believe it is. We just like it because it presents us a sense of safety. We're inside of these walls and we have these jobs and we are these kind of mature people. It boosts up our self-esteem and our ego, but that is not the case of reality. It fools a lot of people and it's sad. Okay, so I don't subscribe to that. I go deep within. I ask the ancestors. They let me know what things is. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys more of these figurines. They even found some of these figurines amongst the earliest, the natives of Japan, the Jamon people. Okay, Jamon culture artifacts. And these people were in Japan some like 14,000 of years ago, 14,000 years ago, you know. And look at that. If you look at that sculpture, you'll see that same kind of serpent head. And you know what's so crazy? You guys won't believe me, but they call that figurine right there Dogu. Okay? They call it the Dogu clay figurine, right? Like the Dogon, right? And it's crazy because the Philistine people, they had a god, a half man, half fish god, right? Called Dogon, right? I can't make this. That's why I'm telling you guys, African culture can be found all over the world. Believe it or not, our ancestors were famous. It's okay. And if that offends you in some kind of way, you need to relook at your, you need to question yourself and your agendas, because it shows a bit of inferior, superior kind of mindset. Oh no, Africans could not have been the bearers of civilization, or whatever the case may be. Why do you feel that way? Question yourself. Check your intentions. Okay? Because if it wasn't Africans and it was another race, I would have to come to accept that in myself. It might hurt a little bit, might hurt my ego, like, damn, what about my ancestors? But Truth is truth at the end of the day, and that's how we all grow, okay? But these are the Dogon clay figurines, okay? And now, if we look at, again, those figurines that I showed from Iraq, damn it, I should have kept that. You guys seen what they look like, but matter of fact, it won't. We vibing on here, so I will go back to it really fast. Iraq figurines, boop, 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 boop. All right, and you see that they have these kind of triangular heads, okay? They have these triangular heads and these like slits in their eyes, right? Eyes is like a slit, and you'll see it. Moving forward, there were more figures of these beings. I can't put my finger on it right now, but I'm sure if you guys are into culture and religion, you will see those same kind of serpent depictions in Mesoamerica, and South America, North America, everywhere. Okay, this is a fact. I would need more than just a simple video to break down all of it, okay? Because there's crazy stories behind all of these serpent depictions, but they're all like one, okay? Now, the truth is, again, Elohim and angels are one race. If we dissect the Hebrew word for God, which is Elohim, we will find that the host of Yahweh, whom are angels, were also considered Elohim, Psalms 82. So let me pull that up for you guys really fast. Yeah, let me just type it out instead of going to the Bible Hub. And let's look at it in Hebrew. All right, so it says a psalm of Asap. God presides in the divine assembly. He renders judgment among the gods. Okay, let's read that back. A psalm of Asap. God presides in the divine assembly. He renders judgment. Right? They said God. Right? God, Elohim, presides in the divine assembly. He renders judgment among the gods. Okay? They did not say angels, right? His host in heaven. They did not say angels, but they particularly said gods, okay? Because Elohim and angels are the same thing. Literally, the word for angel is malak, right? The root of it, MLK, is the same root. It shares the same root with a king, which is malkim, okay? And malak, it literally, the root MLK just means divine or royal. Okay, you're held to high esteem because you're a royal divine being. Okay, and now remember how Sodom and Gomorrah was destroyed by fireballs, by the angels, right? The so-called angels are the Elohim. Guess what? They were not lying when they showed in Zathura, if you guys remember that Game Boy movie. I know some of you guys know what I'm talking about. If you don't, search it up. Zathura, they showed what they call the Zorgons, these reptile beings that came in spaceships, and they had boop, 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 big cannons, and they was just knocking down the house and everything. They were onto something with that, okay? Because the Sodom and Gomorrah actually happened, okay? If you search Comet Hit 3,600 years ago, this is the time that Abraham was alive, okay? Abraham was alive around like 15,000 BC, okay? You will find that years ago, literally in the exact same area, right, of Sodom and Gomorrah, a whole city was destroyed by an airburst. It just, and everything melted. It was destroyed. It was like crazy. Go read the articles for yourself. Just type in 3,000, Comet Hit 3,600 years ago, okay? They'll let you know it's in the area. It was the exact same area of Sodom and Gomorrah, okay? So that'll let you guys know that it ain't angels with fairy wings that just didn't like this and come down to the earth or anything like that. That is all just sweetening. Okay, they don't want you. They didn't want us for some reason to know truth. They actually wanted us to look at God, which is the serpent being who created us, as what we angels. Okay, that was sold to me in my dreams, and I had to look deeper into it. And truth did in time come to me. Okay. Yeah, so that was Psalms 82:1. Also, when angels are first mentioned in Genesis 6, they are called sons of God. Okay, you gotta read. We gotta read between the lines. That's how we capture things. They are called in Genesis 6, son of God. And then you will notice when when the Elohim is speaking about Adam or man, they will always be called son of man. Okay, instead of sons of God. Okay, because they're of the same race. Okay. All right, moving forward. The so-called angels maintain a lesser status than the serpent god whom created us. Nonetheless, they are of the same race. So if you guys want to know more about how we know that these characters, the Elohim, the angels, are actual beings that walked on this earth, watch my first live on this. Okay, I did a presentation on this live about the Elohim. Okay, so if you go onto my channel, you go to my lives and you look at the first video, watch that. I talk about the giants, the Nephilim. I talk about the Elohim and how they, at that time I thought they were an ancient race of hominid species, okay? Because when we talk about the Anunnaki, we have to make distinction. The Anunnaki are not these reptile beings. Some people believe that. If you look at the Anunnaki as they were depicted on the Sumerian, in their carvings, they look like they look very similar to Europeans. Okay, they're mixed people, but we find that they don't look serpent-like. Okay, because they were not. They were just giant peoples. Okay. Now the story of giants is a whole nother thing for another time. Again, if you want to learn more about that, watch my first video. I think I did really well on addressing that right there. Okay, so the serpent creator gods and the Anunnaki are not the same. Shoot, they may not even be the same as the Elohim, okay, but a lot of the stories which is attributed to the serpent beings, the serpent gods, are attributed to the Anunnaki for some reason. Okay, that's just what I found so far. I know that might be a little bit confusing to some of you guys. If you need to rewind the video and hear how I just said that, listen to it again. Okay, yeah, I'm not gonna repeat myself. You can just rewind the video. The gift of civilization. So now we talk about what these serpent beings brought to humanity. It has been taught to us that the development of civilization in human history was a gradual process. It also has been taught to us that it is normal for civilizations to build strikingly similar megalithic structures thousands of miles apart from each other. Upon a closer observation, one will realize this isn't true. There are megalithic structures which date back to the end of the Ice Age during the Neolithic period. The Neolithic period is what they call the Stone Age, okay? With hunter-gatherers, where they're knocking stones like this, okay? Find megalithic structures with stones that weigh tons and built in stellar alignments and everything, okay? Dating back to the end of the last Ice Age, okay? Our ancestors told us precisely that human evolution is cyclical and not gradual. Just like today, advanced civilizations and hunter-gatherers coexisted. Okay, that's the truth. Today we still live around, you'll still find tribes in the Amazon, you'll still find tribes in the Congo and Africa that are hunter-gatherers, okay? But we are advanced, right? And we live amongst them. That's how it was back at that time as well. And now if we look at what the ancients, what our ancestors told us about civilization, right? If you look at in Hindu culture, the yugas, right, which spans back some millions of years. You have the Kali Yuga, which we're in now, the age of ignorance and darkness, right? You have the I think Dwapara Yuga. You have the Treta Yuga, I think, and Satya Yuga. You guys want to go look it up because, matter of fact, I'll pull it up for you guys. I'm telling you guys, look it up when I got the computer. Sorry, my bad, guys. Hindu. Be trying to move through things quickly. It's the morning time. Trying to go ahead and start my day and everything. Get right with my yoga and practice the knowledge that the gods gave us, okay, to transcend and really make the most of this reality. But okay, we have hold on. Yep, Kali Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, Treta Yuga, and Satya Yuga. Okay, and basically, again, the Kali Yuga is 432,000 years. The Dwapara Yuga is some more thousands of years, and going all the way up to the Satya Yuga, which is like 1,000,000 something thousands of years. Okay, they have the cycles. They will tell you precisely. Matter of fact, right here. I'm sorry, guys. That's a bad habit. You guys are like, you're the worst host ever telling us go look up stuff. I just want you guys to kind of get into the habit and routine of looking things up. I'm so confident in the information that I share that I tell you guys go look it up for yourself. I'm not stingy. I'm not trying to hide anything, show things from angles, show one of something and tell you guys, believe me, no. Tell you guys go look it up for yourself. Okay, Kali Yuga is 432,000 years. The Treta Yuga, the Dwapara Yuga is 864,000 years. See, these are all sacred numbers. Okay, this was all taught to us by the Serpent creator beings. The Nummo, the Dogon said that the Nummo taught us about music. Okay, solfeggio frequencies, the natural frequencies. You'll see, you'll find 432, right? 864, all of these things. 174 hertz, right? What's it called? 752 hertz, 861, right? All of the solfeggio frequency, they taught us all of that. Okay, and you'll find a lot of these numbers in ancient cultures again and again. Okay, and they based a lot of their cycles off of these, but it wasn't them who just came up with it. They either channeled it or that was again preserved from ancient cultures spanning back thousands of years. Okay, and every time we go through the different cycles, okay, our consciousness shifts. So the Kali Yuga, we're in the age of darkness, and going all the way up to the Satya Yuga, right? The Satya Yuga is in the age where we're basically in the golden age. Our consciousness is at a great place collective. We're thriving, being kind to each other, all of that good stuff. Okay? So, they told us that that evolution in humans is cyclical, okay, and not linear. Like we, at 800,000 years ago, we finally found to pick up stone, and then 500,000 years ago, we started sharpening stones a little bit, and then it didn't happen like that. I don't believe it did, okay? Because the knowledge and the amount of knowledge and the kind of culture that our ancestor has it's just gods had to teach them that. I believe in them, but I'm just saying it's very advanced, like knowing the age of the earth and knowing the distance between the sun and the earth and the moon and the earth and stuff like that. I feel like they could not have been hunter-gatherers and had known that, okay? And a more advanced culture had to have passed that down to our ancestors, okay? And that's how they told it. And so let's get back to the presentation. See what's going on. Oh yeah, I wanted to show you guys some of the structures that are alike. Like if we look at the Mesopotamian ziggurat, right, their temple, this is what a sketch of what it would have looked like. Okay, it's been destroyed a bit, but you see it looks like a step pyramid, right? If you look at Chichen Itza, the Mayan pyramid, city, which had like all of their pyramids and everything, you'll find very similar construction. If you look in Africa, pyramid of Zoser, you'll find very similar construction. If we look in Indonesia, Gunung Padang, we'll find one of the oldest, if not probably the oldest pyramid, step-style pyramid. I believe they're older works, okay, because I feel like civilization is really old. That used to, when it was like first constructed, it would have looked something like this, okay, step-style pyramid, Gunung Padang, but this is what it looks like today. Okay, it's been heavily eroded and everything by weather and all of that stuff. Because you guys gotta understand, this happened. These things were built at the end of the last ice age. Okay, they say Gunung Padang, the layers in it, like the first layer could have been built some 26,000 years ago. Okay, so you'll see similar construction if we look at Sacsayhuaman, right? You see how the stones are put together and everything. It's like a huge fortress. We see that these had to have been built by giants, okay? And we look at Baalbek. Sacsayhuaman was, I believe it belonged to the Inca civilization. If we look at Baalbek, right? And we look at the megalithic stones that we see there, we can see why there were giants involved in our history, because these things weigh tons. 1 ton weighs about 2,000 pounds, okay? So to cut these stones, to drag them from miles and miles away, and to put them and line them like that, sometimes with using no mortar, right? No like mud or anything to stick them together, just figuring out crazy ways, and sometimes you can't even stick a piece of paper in between them. That is an advanced culture to me, okay? That is advanced technology. But what you'll find with these advanced civilizations going back into the past is that their civilization was a lot more natural. Okay, they didn't use. We're in the age of Aquarius, right? Aquarius rules electricity, technology, all these things. That is us. We've kind of developed that, but they were less on the. They didn't do plastics and things like that. Certain things they didn't do because they come from a different time than us. Their consciousness was probably a bit more evolved than ours. They understood to take care of the earth, and that the best way to advanced civilization is to be in accordance with nature. We think that more advanced we are, the more shit we got to be flying space and doing all this kind of crazy stuff, galactic wars, but it's actually not. You don't become advanced to go ahead, and we're destroying ourselves in this age. People don't know it and realize it, but a lot of the advancements that we've created is actually destroying us. You don't become advanced to destroy yourself. That is not advanced. That is complex and hard to understand. Something that is advanced is actually simple, okay? Simple technology like drums, boom, 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 right? And movement to help your body, right? Because everything is a system and design. If society is not built to support our system and design, if it's not in alignment with the system and design of nature, it is not advanced. Our ancestors, they knew these things, okay? So, we can move forward from this slide and move on to the last slide right here. Hominids share a common ancestor with reptiles. The ancestors most definitely did well preserving the truth of our reality, as you guys can see through the presentation I did today. Scientifically, they are also correct, as it has been proven that humans once shared a common ancestor with reptiles some millions of years ago. Human evolution is still a huge mystery. There's a lot of missing links. There were, without a doubt in my mind, many advanced civilizations which have risen and fell on this earth. We just happen to descend from a serpent one, all right? Some of you guys may not want to believe that. You're free to believe what you want to, okay? But I'm going to bring up the scientific human. Oh man, why is this? I'm going to bring up the scientific research, okay? Scientists have uncovered this from PBS, right? There's also a lot of different like scientific journals which have published pretty much the same thing. Scientists have uncovered the link between the hair of mammals, the feather of birds, and the scales of reptiles, which are all animals that our ancestors always depicted. You'll see a lot of birds, okay? You'll notice turtles, which are reptiles or descend from reptiles. They look a lot like birds sometimes. They have the beaks like birds, okay? And then you'll find there were a lot of flying reptiles at the time of dinosaurs, okay? And you'll see that we actually all come from one kind of clade, all right? And the discovery published today in Journal Science Advances suggests all of these animals, including humans, descended from a single reptilian ancestor approximately 320 million years ago. Okay, so that should I'll already tell you guys, keep your mind open, okay, because we don't know anything. Civilization could have started in the water before it started on land. It most likely probably did, okay? We have not been through the depths of the ocean. There can be civilization down there right now. They're probably playing cards, deciding on the fate of our world on the top of the surface, and we wouldn't even know because we've become very arrogant as humans. That is the sad truth and reality. But our ancestors, they knew of these things, and a lot of them still till this day respect the truth. Okay. With that being said, I'm all out, guys. I will leave you with this right here. I will be back with more presentations talking about how we were bioengineered. I want to get into all of that, okay, because I want you guys to know the truth. But I will just leave you guys with this information. I think it was a lot of information to digest for a day. So I love you guys. Shalom, peace, and blessings.